Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. No importa la hora que sea, siempre es un gran momento para aprender español con Profesor Pablo. Please subscribe and please hit that like button. Our lesson today, we're continuing on with the verb pedir. We must all remember that pedir is one of the most commonly used verbs in the Spanish language, and often it is used with either the present or the past subjunctive. This lesson, we're going to focus on asking someone to do something. So that's going to be followed with the present subjunctive, verb number 8, opposite val. Let's take a look at our clusters. Our first one, indirect object pronouns that we'll be using will be me, te, le, nos, os, and les. Os is the vosotros indirect object pronoun. And then we're going to use the verb ir, to go. Voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. And then finally, we're going to finish it off with a pedir que with verb number 8, the present subjunctive. So let's do some examples. Traer. I'm going to ask him to bring his sister. Le voy a pedir que traiga a su hermana. You need the personal a there, a su hermana. I'm going to ask them to bring money. Les voy a pedir que traigan dinero. Let's say I'm going to ask you guys to bring food. There's a party, right? I'm going to ask you guys to bring food would be les voy a pedir que traigan comida. Sentarse. She's going to ask us to sit down. Nos va a pedir que nos sentemos. I'm going to ask her to sit down. Le voy a pedir que se siente. See if you can translate right along with me. Calmarse. We are going to ask them to calm down. Les vamos a pedir que se calmen. She's going to ask you to calm down. Te va a pedir que te calmes. Venir. We are going to ask them to come. Les vamos a pedir que vengan. They're going to ask me to come. Me van a pedir que venga. Hacer. I'm going to ask him to not do it. Le voy a pedir que no lo haga. They are going to ask us to do them a favor. Nos van a pedir que les hagamos un favor. Decir. We are going to ask her to tell the truth. Le vamos a pedir que diga la verdad. I am going to ask him to come to the party. Le voy a pedir que venga a la fiesta. Decir. Again, I'm going to ask him to tell the reason for what he did. Le voy a pedir que diga cuál es la razón por lo que hizo. Mentir, to lie. She's going to ask you not to lie. Te va a pedir que no mientas. We're going to ask them not to lie. Les vamos a pedir que no mientan. We are going to ask them to tell the truth. Les vamos a pedir que digan la verdad. Break it down to your pronoun. This is the person that's being asked. And then this is the person doing the asking. And this is a pedir que followed by the present subjunctive, what you're asking them to do, right? The person being asked, the person doing the asking, and what is being asked to do. 3 stages here, 3 parts. Let's take a look at recoger, to pick up. I am going to ask them to pick up the trash. Les voy a pedir que recojan, with a J, la basura. I'm going to ask her to pick me up at the airport. Le voy a pedir que me recoja en el aeropuerto. All right, we got fumar. They are going to ask us not to smoke. Nos van a pedir que no fumemos. I'm going to ask him not to smoke. Le voy a pedir que no fume. Okay, our second cluster, conducir, it's a ZC. I am going to ask her to drive carefully. Le voy a pedir que conduzca con cuidado. I'm going to ask him to drive his dad's car. Le voy a pedir que conduzca, que maneje el carro de su papá. Esperar. I am going to ask them to wait for us. Les voy a pedir que nos esperen. I'm going to ask her to wait for me in front of the house. See how easily I say them in English? I want to get you guys to the point that you can do it just as quickly in Spanish. I'm going to ask her to wait for me in front of the house. Le voy a pedir que me espere enfrente de la casa. The more we use pedir, the more we use the subjunctive. It's going to make you so much better in all uses of the subjunctive. Let's go with masticar. Masticar chicle is to chew gum. I'm going to ask the kids not to chew gum. Les voy a pedir que, or les voy a pedir a los niños que no mastiquen chicle. She's going to ask you not to chew gum. Te va a pedir que no mastiques chicle. Callarse. We're going to ask them to quiet down. Les vamos a pedir que se callen. Opposite vowel. Explicar. We are going to ask her to explain the reason to us. Le vamos a pedir que nos explique la razón. She's going to ask you to explain yourself. Te va a pedir que te expliques. Pagar. I'm going to ask him to pay the bill. Le voy a pedir que pague la cuenta. They always ask me to pay their bills. Siempre me piden que yo les pague sus cuentas. Jugar. We're going to ask her to play. Le vamos a pedir que juegue con nosotros. They are going to ask us to play with them. Nos van a pedir que juguemos con ellos. Apurarse, to hurry up. Mom's going to ask you to hurry up. Mamá te va a pedir que te apures. We are going to ask them to hurry up. Les vamos a pedir que se apuren. Firmar. I'm going to ask him to sign the documents. Le voy a pedir que firme los documentos. Vender. They're going to ask us to sell the house. Nos van a pedir que vendamos la casa. Okay, we've done the second cluster now. Again, this is the person that's being asked. This is who is doing the asking, and this is what you're asking. 1, 2, 3. It's as simple as that. Terminar. I'm going to ask them to finish today. Les voy a pedir que terminen hoy. Correr. I'm going to ask the kids not to run inside the house. Les voy a pedir a los niños que no corran dentro de la casa. Tener paciencia. I'm going to ask them to be patient. Les voy a pedir que tengan paciencia. I am going to ask him to be careful. Le voy a pedir que tenga cuidado. Quedarse. They're going to ask us to stay. Nos van a pedir que nos quedemos. I'm going to ask you to stay. Te voy a pedir que te quedes. I'm going to ask her to stay. Le voy a pedir que se quede. She's going to ask them to stay. Les va a pedir que se queden. Irse. They are going to ask you to take off, to leave. Te van a pedir que te vayas. We are going to ask them to leave. Les vamos a pedir que se vayan. Leer. I'm going to ask you to read it. Te voy a pedir que lo leas. She always asks me to read it. Siempre me pide que lo lea. Sacar basura or sacar fotos. I always ask him to take pictures. Siempre le pido que saque fotos. I always ask them to take out the trash. Siempre les pido a los muchachos que saquen la basura. Volver. I am going to ask them to come back. Les voy a pedir que vuelvan. En caerse. Oh my gosh. I'm going to ask him not to fall. Le voy a pedir que no se caiga. Okay, again, the indirect object pronoun tells you who is being asked to do something. The verb ir here tells who is doing the asking, and the a pedir que and the rest is what the person is being asked to do. And these are followed by present subjunctive. Our next lesson, we're going to change this to the preterite and use the same verbs in the past subjunctive. The more we do the subjunctive, it's like a football player, a soccer player, any great athlete, any athlete. You have to keep training. You do the same moves, right? You practice the same plays, right? You want to get better. Muscle memory. You got to keep the muscles toned, and that's what we're doing. And for some of you, I know you start the lessons, you're just starting our channel and you're starting out right here. We've had 330 some lessons before this. You really need to go back and review the lessons that you're not sure about, and then that'll build you up to where you'll be able to do these much more comfortably. Okay, es todo por ahora. Cuídense mucho. Hasta pronto. Gracias.